Now, as you can possibly tell from these gorgeous images, wildflowers are hugely important to pollinating insects like bees, but increasingly these plants are being lost to things like farming and housing.
It must have been back-breaking work, but a massive team of volunteers is trying to buck that trend. They've restored 150 acres of wildflower grassland in Cumbria, as Adam Powell reports.
Flowers like these have become increasingly rare over the last 80 years. To reverse this, the cowslip is now being grown along with other wildflower species in polytunnels like this one in Carlisle, and then planted up to a year later in an effort to reinstate flower-rich habitats.
It's found on sort of edges of woodlands and hedgerows and things like that, but farmers and things are trying to make the best use of their land possible and are taking the hedgerows out now, so there's fewer of them.
Habitat lost to housing and more intensive farming is bad news for pollinators. The Trust does its best to encourage bees to thrive, but it's wildflowers that are key to this most ancient of ecological relationships.
Our native pollinators and insects are adapted to feed off our native wildflowers, so we try to keep it native, local provenance seed, because they're adapted to collect the pollen and the nectar from our native wildflowers.
Great Burnet have got like a brown knobbly, well, it's the flower, but it looks like a brown knobbly seed head.
It's labour intensive. A total of 8,000 wildflowers grown from seed were planted by hand by volunteers in sites including this one in Penrith. The results of the hard work will be enjoyed later in the summer. With so many wildflowers lost over the last 80 years, Cumbria Wildlife Trust is working with Kew Gardens to build up a seed bank of our native species.
We collect all the seed locally and store it in these little jars in this big fridge. This is cowslip, and it'll have been possibly collected somewhere within Cumbria, so we can keep it as locally sourced as possible because the plants will be better adapted for the Cumbrian climate.
Gardeners can help too. Resist that temptation to mow the lawn, say the Trust, and let those wildflowers flourish as part of next month's No Mow May campaign. Adam Powell, BBC News.
Thank you, Adam. Just giving me a licence not to mow the lawn.
No, never mow the lawn.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.